Welcome to Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. So happy that you're here today. We have a lot of great questions. Don't forget, info at Ladies Talk Show. Send your questions in. Gila, go. Let's get right down to it.
I love this question. It's from a mother for her daughter. So Gitsy's
Okay.
asking, please, can you give me one piece of advice I can give my daughter who's getting married next week in Mirz Hashem?
Ah,
Mazel tov.
we must have. That's great. So, the most wonderful thing to tell your daughter is that this is only the beginning. That if she learns to communicate more and more, because when you first get married, you don't know what's going on, but over the years, the more she learns to communicate with her husband, the more closeness there'll be. And that after Amirat Hashem, after 50 years, they'll be closer than they even were now. It's this beautiful day. And then their 50th anniversary is just like that times a bazillion. Okay, best of luck to you, Mazel Tov. Okay, what else you
Okay.
got, Mila?
Tara's asking, my husband always seems to be getting a man cold. He can't cope and becomes whiny, but I just get on with it. I want to be sympathetic and outwardly, I do bring him hot drinks and let him rest, but inside I find myself yelling. My nose also gets blocked and I also get headaches. Big deal. This is happening around every 2 months and I'm fed up. Why is it my job to be a kinder wife? Shouldn't it be his job to man up?
I hear that's a challenging thing. As challenges go, I have to tell you, when this happens, just roll your eyes and say, this is better than other people have it. Some people are dealing with massive, financial devastation. And, I'm not trying to minimize your thing. I'm trying to give you a tool. So when it happens and you get frustrated, you're like, you know what? At least we are still have our house. We didn't get, we didn't lose our house. We still have, our kids are healthy, whatever it is. That will help minimize it in your own mind and make it, help take the sting out of this unpleasant thing. The other thing is you have to know, I mean, you called it a man cold. Like, hello, you know that men deal with this differently than women do, which is good. You get it, But internally you're fighting it. You're fighting that how frustrating it is and how extra work it is and so forth. And I get that. So I think in your mind, it could be you do something really outside the box, like get creative with it. Like say, anytime my husband has a man cold, I get to spend $100 and buy anything I want. You might have to save up for it. That might be too big. Maybe you can only do $50 in your budget, or maybe you could do $200. I don't know. You know your budget, but give yourself self something. Reward your goof for doing what your neshama wants to do, which is to take care of your husband. But it's hard and it's frustrating, and you have judgy feelings about how he should be and how women. It's not fair and blah blah blah. So I get that. Reward your goof. And if $100 is too much, or money doesn't do it for you, whatever, something does. There's something that you like, a bar of chocolate, like not a piece of a bar of chocolate. This I'm going to get letters from doctors saying, what are you saying? But do something that will make you feel great. That one thing, you let yourself have mint chocolate chip ice cream once a year. Let that be the day. Okay, so reward your goof. That'll help take the sting out. Okay, what else, Gila?
Okay, Tzipora Figa's asking, I try to show my husband respect by telling the kids to ask his opinion or get permission from him. He thinks I do it so that he has the hassle of dealing with them. I tried explaining that I respect and value his opinion, but he thinks I do it to make my life easier. I'm trying to respect him, but he sees it as disrespect. Should I just stop?
Excellent. Maybe if he thinks it's because you're trying to get off it, maybe you say to the kids and in front of him even, and say, listen, I hear what you're saying. Give me a second. Abba, what do you think I should do about this? Do you think, what's your thoughts on it? Like that. In other words, so he knows you're not trying to turf it because you're still engaged. But it does the same effect. Try it. That's worth a try. It may not work, but it's worth an exercise. And you can tell him, I do this because I want the kids to respect you. And one thing that I just have to say, when you're out and you see this, maybe your husband's sitting in the car even, but you see this thing for your grandkids, and then you come in and you giving it to your grandkids, you say, Grandpa, Opa, Zadie, whatever it is, and I thought of this for you or something. Hopefully he was a little bit involved, but it brings a closeness. So it's the same thing here, where you can And you can tell your husband, I'm doing this because I want the kids to feel close to you. I want them to respect you. I want them to know that I turn to you for your wisdom and your authority, authority and direction that you provide for our family. And I want them to see that, and that's why I'm doing it. His thinking that you are doing it to because you're lazily trying to turf it or something like that, might be a reflection of him not being able to receive respect, which can happen in a marriage. It could be he himself has low self-esteem, or he doesn't feel good about himself, or he feels like, um, uh, you know, uh, maybe in his childhood or something like that, he didn't get the he wasn't listened to. He was the youngest kid, and everybody else was yelling and giving their opinions, and he opened his mouth to say something and nobody cared or whatever. So he may have a kind of inferiority complex about that, and when you're doing it, it might trigger him to feel like, why is she doing that? What's her motive? So telling him your motive might be a 2-year process. It might be you have to repeat it again and again and again, and you can even say, I'm going to repeat this again and again and again because I want you to hear how important it is to me for the children to be able to look up to you, and for them to see me turning to you for your wisdom. And good luck with it. It's a process. It may not happen exactly right away, but it's something worth pushing forward. Good on you. I'm impressed and proud of you.
Okay, very nice. Alana Sar is asking, my husband has a very closed personality. We've been to marriage therapy, which did not help much as he says he can't change. I've tried your method of coaxing appreciation out of him, but he finds it too unnatural. I need words of affirmation and appreciation, but he says he's incapable. How can I feel loved in this relationship?
Hmm. I hear. I hear, and I wonder what happened in therapy. It's a little black box of unknown. So I don't know what happened there and what didn't work and what the goal was and what you accomplished or didn't accomplish, sounds like. So I don't know. I would say that, it could be a case either that he is incapable, and then you need to get appreciated elsewhere. You need to self-soothe and pat yourself on the back or whatever, more than, which, okay, that's a challenge. Is it possible? Of course, maybe not to the extent and not as beautifully and warmly as if your husband gave it to you, but you can also find support system and friends and, family members, or a journaling where you are writing down all the wonderful things that wished he would say to you, or that you would be able to hear. So that would be some things you can do about it, but I wouldn't give up so fast, because I feel like if your husband is not, and he says, well, I'm not capable of it, ask him, what are you capable of? What do you think you could do that would be comfortable for you? For me, reading off a list and you think it's phony or whatever, it actually feels really good for me. It feels really good when I say, I did this and I did that and I accomplished this, and this kid was having a tantrum and I just walked out of the room. It was very, very hard for me, but I could tell that, little Moshala, stopped tantruming as soon as I was out the room. And so I think that's a good strategy. And I was really proud of myself because it was very, very hard to do. Um, so I need to share these things with you. You're saying it feels phony and it doesn't work for you, but can I ask you a favor? Do you mind doing it because it works for me? Would that be okay with you? I don't know where that's going to play out. I will know it will make me feel heard. It will make me feel calmer in my life. It'll make me feel closer to you, even if you think it maybe doesn't do anything for you, right? It is doing you good, because you're going to have a happier wife. So do you think you could manage at least trying? Things like that. Work with him on it. This may not be an instant fix overnight or whatever. It's a process or whatever, but I wouldn't give up so quickly. I think, he may feel uncomfortable about it because he feels like he's being um, uh, uh, burdened with a something that he's not comfortable with. But if you can make it easy for him, say, what would make it comfortable? What could I say that wouldn't feel awkward? What could I do to make it less awkward or less burdensome for you? And work it out like that. Like that in that conversation that you would have with him, you would be able to compromise for something that might meet your needs more and not be so challenging for him. Good luck with it. It's good. It's good. Okay.
Yeah. I'm also wondering if, like, when he does give her gifts or other things, she should take that as appreciation and love because maybe he's just not good with
Excellent.
words.
Excellent. You're quoting chapter 5. It's very good.
Exactly.
Married Secretly.
Leah, I
Yeah,
work with Leah, so you
there
know.
you go.
Okay, Sarah Zissi is asking, I understood that being a good wife is being fully dependent on our husbands because men find this feminine and it makes them feel respected. What's the balance between this and not losing ourselves?
Very good question, but I'm not sure what she means by dependent.
I think she's talking about receiving, but it sounds like maybe she doesn't have the full idea of what that means. So if, maybe we could clarify that.
Right, right. So, you know, dependence means that you can count on him and that you all relative like look, there's a whole movement in the world to be independent. I don't need anybody. I can do it myself, whatever. And those are the loneliest, most miserable people, okay? Being dependent on your husband means being able, this was very pasnish. No, you can't go there. You can't depend on your husband. You need to be able to stand up on your own feet. You need to be your own person. And it's just lovely that we have each other, but I don't need you. And it's wrong. It's not a Masora. A Masora is interdependence, where you're completely dependent on your husband for so many things: his love, his support, his approval, his warmth, his emotional, physical, spiritual support. All of those things are how God designed us and designed the world. And he is dependent on you for your nurturing and your warmth and your beanie Sarah and your wisdom and your, welcoming him into the home. He's outside fighting all day and he comes home and this is what greets him and that warmth. So we are interdependent. That's our Masora. A woman slightly more dependent on a husband because she's the receiver in the relationship. The man is the giver and the wife is the receiver. So she's more dependent upon him. That doesn't take away anything from her identity. In fact, it blows up her who she is. It allows her to, to be her full self when she understands that she's got somebody that she can lean on, So I don't think it's mutually exclusive, and in fact, the opposite. I think it makes her more capable and more strong because she's got that strong backing of her husband. And what the to answer the question for you is your ability to feel safe and comfortable in this world is dependent upon your ability to let go of control. Let go of control of your world, go of control of your husband, let control of your spiritual life, that let Hashem into your life in these areas where we feel like we need to control it and be on top of it. And, Hashem runs the world and just let him. And that gives a level of serenity and menucha. How do you translate that? Uh, Peace of mind, uh,
Comfort.
comfort, more than anything else we can be doing. Very, very good question. Okay.
Okay. Lizzie's asking, I got married much later in life and settled in many ways. My husband is much shorter than me. He's very introverted and is over 10 years older than me. I was just desperate to get married. Now I feel like I married a grandfather. I'm so full of regret, I can't even see his good side.
Wow. Hmm. So what I would look at is what your family of origin trajectory was. In other words, yes, you got married later in life or whatever, but you know, when I would question your own um, what's that called? Narrative. Your own backstory that you're saying, well, I settled because I really wanted, I really was desperate to get married. I don't think that that is true. I think you need to do some introspection there and recognize that there were certain things about your husband that you felt were suitable to spend the rest of your life, God willing, with this man. So, if we tell ourselves these, really, really destructive narratives, make our backstory, I'll give you an example. You have two women, they're married, their parents got divorced when they were 13, right? And you ask the first lady, your parents got divorced. What did you learn from that? She said, I learned three things. Number one, you can never trust anybody. Number two, that life can turn upside down in 1 second. Number three is that life will always, your expectations can never be fulfilled. Okay, now you have another 13-year-old girl, same exact circumstance. Her parents divorced when she was 13 and her father disappeared. And you ask her, what did you learn from that? She learned, number one, I learned that communication let me be closer to my siblings than ever before. Number two, I learned that I can survive anything. Number three, I learned that you have to trust people, but you have to choose correctly who to trust. Okay. Same 13-year-old kid, same circumstance. One interprets it in one way, that is totally devastating, is totally victim, totally like she can never fulfill her potential, with a story, with a backstory like that. She can't be close to people. She has herself put herself on a path of destruction. Whereas this other girl, same circumstance, same horrible, tragic life story, but she's interpreted, I got stronger because of it. Now, I just have one question to ask you. Which girl would you want to be friends with today? Right? Who would you want to, sit and have coffee with? Who would you want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro with? Who would you want to, bolster you when you're feeling down? Obviously, the second girl. So you yourself have to tell yourself a different story about your history and how you got to marry this man, because it is very destructive and very damaging, and it's probably not even true. So that's the first thing. Okay, very, very crucial in your growth curve and in your maturity and in your ability to make this marriage work, which is so crucial. Because if you think it's challenging now with this other man, let me tell you, if God forbid you did not, stay married with this man, your loneliness is going to be so profound and you're going to have a lot of regrets. Why? How do I know that? Am I a mind reader? No. I've talked to the women. I've talked to the women after they, again, divorce. If 10%, 5%, 10% of the divorces we have, our Masorah is that you get a get. That's very, very clear that that's allowed. But 90% of the divorces that are happening in this world, I believe, 90% of them never had to happen. And they're getting divorced. People are getting divorced for stupid reasons. Really, I mean, look, there's mental health issues, there, drug issue, addictions, there's all kinds of things. That's in the 10%. But the other 90%, like, he didn't meet my expectations, and he's not exactly who I thought he was, and he's short, and he's an introvert, or whatever the other things you said. I'm not trying to put you down. I'm not trying to judge you. I'm telling you, look at this with open eyes, because the tragedy that could happen, you need to avert, and I'm giving you the tools to do that. First of all, you need to buy Marriage Secrets right away, today. Stop everything you're doing and buy Marriage Secrets. This is our 220 Torah sources for Shalom Bayis. I get no money from this. All of my book royalties, it's by Leah Richheimer, by me. All of the royalties are 100% go to marriage education. So I'm only pushing this on you so that you can save your marriage, because it needs saving, and you need to shift your mindset. You need to reframe everything from your question to be able to get back to closeness with your husband and to be vulnerable for your husband. And when I started saying your, family of origin and thinking about your childhood and, where you came from or whatever, it could be that you came from a situation where you learned, and maybe this is why you had challenge getting married until you were older. You learned, to not be vulnerable, to control the situation, to not share yourself. Who knows? I don't know. There could be a million different things, and a therapist might be able to help you to unfold all of these things. But it could be that what you're bringing to the table doesn't lend itself well to having a good, harmonious, loving relationship. And that is where I would go. I would go with introspection of this. I know I'm being a little bit harsh. Please forgive me. I'm doing it because I really care that you can build this marriage back up to where it should be. It starts with introspection. And if doing that yourself is a very, very challenging. You need to get a therapist or a Rebbitzin or a good friend, talk to somebody, read Marriage Secrets so that you can at least know what the goal of being a wife is. And I think it can turn the whole thing around fast, like literally in a month of reading and talking and whatever, you can have the closeness that you have wanted since you were a little girl. Okay, Hashem should bench you with it. And everybody, your homework is to do one thing in your life to reframe some past history that does not serve you well. Okay, it's Leah Richheimer for the Ladies Talk Show. We'll see you next time.